We have different types of roofs, and obviously each one of us would like to know why we choose certain types of roofs over the other. In this video, I'm going to talk about the selection criteria of different types of roofs, the different types of roofs, their pros and their cons. Then finally, we are going to compare these different types of roofs cost estimations on the same design, because we want to know which one is actually more cost effective than the other. Please bear in mind that the design we're going to use in this video is something I personally worked on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel, Diary of the Lady Engineer. As you all know, I am Nota and a civil engineer by profession. In case you're new here, please do hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you're updated of any new videos. Without wasting so much of your time, I want to talk about, first of all, the selection criteria. What makes people choose certain types of roofs over the other for their buildings? The number one reason why a real estate investor or potential property owner would want to choose a certain type of roof is something to do with cost. People want to know how much a certain roof would cost, and it's inevitable for somebody to choose something they can afford. Remember, it's not every real estate investor that has so much money to spend on any type of roof that they want to. However, that doesn't mean that you can't go for something that will end up making you smile in the end. So the cost of the roof is one of the criteria of roof type selection. The second selection criteria is most likely the climate of the area in which you are building. For example, in Zambia, we have the tropical climate, and obviously most of you know that this tropical climate comprises the dry season and the wet season. Of course, we do know that the dry season also consists of the cold and hot seasons. For the wet season, we normally experience heavy downpours of rain. One of the reasons why you are putting up a roof on your building is so that you prevent yourself from getting soaked in case of any rains. You want to prevent your building, your house, from being subjected to leaks or heavy downpours entering the building. The third selection criteria of roof types is the type of building. For example, most high-rise buildings utilize the flat roof. Of course, I haven't gone into the different types of roofs. I just want to highlight this. So the type of building also determines what type of roof you are going to use. Just as I mentioned earlier, high-rise buildings oftentimes utilize the flat roof because it's going to be easier for other top floors to be built. For continuation of building of more stories, it's very easy if you have used a flat roof. Then the fourth selection criteria is the materials that you want to use. For example, some people would want to go for habitals, others would want to go for the iron sheets, IT4 and whatnot. That also determines the type of roof you are going to select. And the other selection criteria is obviously the span of the building. For example, a small building doesn't have to cost you so much money. You can always go for something simpler, something more economical. Now that we've talked about the selection criteria of a roof type, I am now going to talk about the different types of roofs. So we basically have two types of roofs. That's the flat roof and the pitched roof. And the difference basically lies in the slope size. For the flat roof, the slope is normally 1 in 4 or less, and for the pitched roof, the slope is normally 1 in 4 and greater. There are actually different types of pitched roofs, which we'll also look at later on in this same video. Firstly, I would like to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of using a flat roof. So on the advantages of flat roofs, The number one advantage, or the most common reason why most people go for the flat roof, is the fact that it's actually cheaper in terms of cost. That is the initial capital cost. It's very cheap. It's actually cheaper than the pitched roof in terms of initial capital cost. You should bear in mind, and please underline that if you are taking down notes, please underline initial capital cost. They are cheaper in the sense that they actually require less materials. For example, of course, we're going to look at the different types of trusses that we have, though not in this video. But when you look at the types of trusses used for flat roofs and that of the pitched roof, you realize that actually more material goes into making trusses for pitched roofs than in a flat roof. And obviously that's one reason why you end up spending less on a flat roof than on a pitched roof. As earlier mentioned, the flat roof is mostly utilized in high-rise buildings, especially where the roof is made out of concrete. And the other advantage of using this flat roof made out of concrete in high-rise buildings is the fact that you can actually build on top. It can turn into a balcony. Sometimes it can also turn into a playground. Of course, in movies we have watched people making parties on top of buildings that's on top of the roof. That cannot be possible with a pitched roof. I mean, how are you going to be dancing? Then the other thing is, I'm not sure if I'm the only one who's noticed that if a flat roof is done really well, it's actually better looking than a pitched roof. They have this very nice appearance. That could also be another reason why somebody goes for the flat roof than the pitched roof. They are aesthetically appealing, architecturally appealing. They are very nice. Then going to the disadvantages of flat roofs. Do I really need to talk about this? We have seen a rise in people going for flat roofs, especially in the Zambian construction industry, because of the cost aspect of it. But again, we've also heard so many complaints. So many people have complained about these flat roofs leaking. The number one reason why flat roofs leak is because of the shallow slope that they have. The shallow slope that these flat roofs have actually aggravates the ponding of water on the roof. And sometimes it's actually very difficult to even notice where the leakage is coming from on the flat roof. So unless you engage somebody who's very qualified, somebody who has so much experience in doing great flat roofs, you will have a great problem with leakages. So leakages, if you don't incorporate gutters, if you don't fix the gutters properly, the valleys properly, you are going to experience so many leaks with flat roofs. You have to make sure that the parapet wall on your roof has a coping or a capping layer that is impermeable, something that cannot allow water to seep through, because if the water seeps through it, I think I already spoke about dampness in my Facebook post. If you haven't followed me on Facebook, please follow me on Facebook. I'm going to share the link in the description below. I already spoke about dampness. So if you're not going to use the impervious or impermeable material for your coping, it's going to allow for seepage of water in your wall, which is going to cause dampness, which you don't want. No one wants to live in a damp place. Having talked about the flat roof, I'm now going to talk about the pitched roof. Obviously, I already explained that the pitched roof has a much greater slope than the flat roof. Then I'll just talk about the three types of pitched roofs that are common here in Zambia and are ideal for Zambia's climate. We have the lean-to roof, also known as the Monopitch, which is also becoming quite popular. It's actually the cheapest or the most economical type of pitched roof. Then we also have the gabled roof. This one is also quite common, especially on old houses in your towns. The gabled roof is actually very good for long spans. I'm sure you have noticed that most of your churches have the gabled roof because they are longer in span, they are bigger in size. So the gabled roof is actually the most suitable for them. Then we also have the pitched roof, which is somewhat expensive, and that's another reason why most churches go for the gabled roof, because the gabled roof is actually a bit cheaper than the hipped roof. So let's look at some of the advantages of having a pitched roof or using a pitched roof, choosing a pitched roof. A pitched roof is actually the most suitable in places that experience heavy downpours. Like I already explained, in Zambia, we normally experience heavy downpours, and during that season, you would wish you had a pitched roof if you have a flat roof on your house or on your building. The other advantage is the fact that most pitched roofs last longer than flat roofs. And the only reason why they last longer is because they are able to flush out water at the fastest possible time than the flat roof. Flat roofs are susceptible to so much weather conditions, so much damage because of the ponding of the water that takes place on them, that happens. For example, we know if iron sheets, especially those that are not painted, if iron sheets are exposed to so much water and oxygen, they start rusting. And you know, rust shortens the lifespan of any metallic thing. The other advantage of using or going for the pitched roof type is for aesthetic purposes. I know I already mentioned that the flat roofs are so appealing to look at, but pitched roofs can also be great to look at, and sometimes you can actually combine the types of pitched roofs on one house. This part could have the gable and this other part the hipped, and it looks so beautiful. You can play around these different types of roofs just on one building. Alright, so let's look at the disadvantages of the pitched roof. The number one disadvantage obviously is that it's somewhat expensive. I talked of the trusses for a pitched roof using more materials because I'm going to refer to the Pythagoras theorem, which I know all of us did, because obviously for you to be watching this, you must have gone up to somewhere grade 8, grade 9, and I think the Pythagoras theorem was taught somewhere up around that time, grade 8, grade 9. So when you look at the Pythagoras theorem, you realize that the bigger the angle, the adjacent angle, the longer the hypotenuse. And the area I'm referring to, the coverage area of your roofing sheets or your heavy tiles, is the hypotenuse. So if you're going to have a larger angle, which in most cases is for pitched roofs than a flat roof, then you are going to have a wider coverage area, meaning you are going to use more iron sheets or more tiles. Then another thing is for hipped roofs or pitched roofs or even gabled, you're going to use more timber or more steel if that's what you're using to make your trusses, because you are most likely covering a longer span and you have to make sure that the trusses you are using are stable. The other disadvantage I'll talk about for pitched roofs is the fact that, of course, I mentioned they are they are appealing, they look nice. But when you get inside of the building, because of too much timber or too much even steel that you use, unless you go for the lightweight steel, which is also appealing even if you don't go for the ceiling. But if you have so much detail, so many things happening on top of your house, so many things happening in the roof, you would be prompted to go for a ceiling. And oftentimes you don't want to start spending so much on the ceiling, especially when you really want to move into your house. You will be forced, meaning you are going to spend so much more if you are going to be forced to put the ceiling board, because for flat roofs you don't necessarily even need the ceiling the quickest possible time. You don't need to put the ceiling. You can, at least you can tolerate the flat roof than the pitched roof, because it'll just bother you every time you look into the roof and see so many wood pieces, so many trusses. You'll be forced to buy some PVC ceiling or gypsum boards or particle boards or whatever it is you want to use for your ceiling. The other disadvantage I want to talk about is the fact that since you're going to use so much material on your house when you go for the pitched roof, it's going to exert so much pressure on the building. So you have to make sure that your foundation is actually very stable and it's able to withstand that weight, because it's going to exert so much pressure, so much weight on your building. And for a foundation that's not so stable, if you use a heaped roof on it, the house might fall off. Sometimes we don't really know the reason why our house is cracking. Perhaps it could be because you have put a much heavier load on top of your house. So when you're going for certain roof types, also ensure the foundation is catered for. It's very important. I always emphasize this. It's always important to engage somebody who's qualified, because you don't just wake up from your slumber and say, I'm going to use this roof type, I'm going to use this other roof type. It should also tally with the design of your building. Is this design able to withstand this type of roofing? Because I can assure you the roof is another type of load that your building is going to withstand. Just like you yourself, you're also another load, but you can be compared to the load that the roof is going to exert. Now that I've spoken about the criteria used in roof type selection, the different types of roofs, the advantages and disadvantages, I'm going to show you these cost estimations of different roof types on the same design in the PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared for you. I hope you're going to look at this until the end of it. Our cost estimations are based on this small plan, approximately 7 meters by 9 meters caretaker's house. We are going to look at only 3 types of roofs that we have discussed. That is the flat roof, the hipped roof, and the monopitch. This right here is the roof plan of roof type 1, which is the flat roof. This flat roof has a pitch of 4 degrees and IT4 sheets are going to be used on wood. This is how the timber will be arranged for this flat roof. The second type of roof we are going to look at is the hipped roof, as shown in the diagram. This roof type has a pitch of 21 degrees and will also use IT4 sheets and timber trusses. The king post of this roof is approximately 1.6 meters high. Take note of the fact that all trusses are to be treated with wood preservative to prevent them from being attacked by termites. The third and last type of roof we are going to look at is the monopitch roof, which is a type of pitched roof. This monopitch roof has a pitch of 11 degrees and will also utilize IT4 roofing sheets on wooden trusses. Please bear in mind that this type of trusses used by the monopitch can also be used by a flat roof, except that the pitch for a flat roof will be less. This is a cost estimate or schedule of materials for the roof type 1, which is a flat roof. Disclaimer: please bear with me, not all prices are tallying with the current market prices. The same template has been used for all roof types, and you will notice that different quantities have been used for different roof types. These quantities were calculated and not just guessed. Carefully looking at the different cost estimates or the different schedule of materials, you will notice that actually the monopitch uses more timber for its trusses than the hipped roof. This is as a result of the evenly distributed members or even sizes of the members of the trusses used for the monopitch. However, the monopitch roof is actually slightly cheaper than the hipped roof. As earlier mentioned, the hipped roof, because of the greater angle that it uses, creates a larger surface for the roofing sheets. So you have more roofing sheets used on the hipped roof. Consequently, even the roof sealant will be used more, and more nails will be used on the hipped roof, hence adding to the total cost. In a nutshell, we can say the costs are not so different among these three roof types. However, when choosing the type of roof, you should not just consider the costs involved, the initial capital cost, but you should also consider the advantages and disadvantages of the roof type in the long run. So like it is in this example, the flat roof is the cheapest. If you can get a very good personnel, a very good professional to do this roof type for you, then you'll be good to go. The prices of this schedule of material are in Zambian kwacha, but they have also been converted to the United States dollars, because I know it's not only Zambians that watch this YouTube channel, and the United States dollars is something that everyone can easily relate to. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this video. I hope you have gotten a thing or two. If you have any inquiries, please email me at diaryofthelazyengineer@gmail.com. I'll see you in another video next time. And please don't forget to like and comment on this video. And please share it as well. Bye bye.